So guys, it's that time of the week again, back for our weekly championship score predictions. Let's go. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, as of recording, we've got 9 games to preview and predict in today's video. Currently, 3 of them have been called off due to COVID, so fingers crossed we don't get any more that are cancelled. Also, in today's video, we're going to be starting our new prediction league as well. I'll explain in just a second how all that's going to work. But before we do jump into anything, I must give a big shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. So if you've not already, make sure to go and check out the new OneFootball app, link down below. Now's a better time than ever to go ahead and download it. We're in the middle of the January transfer window, and we've already seen several pretty big transfers go through in the Championship. You know, my club Preston the other day managed to complete the signing of Ben Whiteman. I'm absolutely buzzing about that one. So if you want to look into a little bit more detail into some of these new arrivals at your club, get their individual stats and stuff like that, OneFootball is the place to do it. You can also get live updates to your phone whenever a goal goes in, and it just helps you stay on top of everything. And so just before we do jump into my score predictions, the other day, if you didn't see on the community tab, I put out this poll asking you guys whether you'd like to see me start a new prediction league for the second half of the season. We're now going into game week 24, and as you can see here, 65% of you voted yes to start a new prediction league for the second half of the season. So we're going to be starting completely from scratch here, but don't worry, we still will be keeping chart of the overall prediction tally, and at the end of the season we'll see who comes out on top as the overall winner. So all you need to do to enter is leave your score predictions in the comments down below. And so as we're starting a new prediction league, we of course have to congratulate Juvest FC, who is going to be crowned champion as the winner of the first half of the season prediction league. Fair play, it's been some ride to say the least. The only person in the prediction league to accumulate over 200 points, so 203 points Juvest FC managed to accumulate. Big shout out also needs to go to Ant Shipman, who's running really close. He was always in and around the top 2. And to be honest with you, I'll take 3rd place. I think that's a pretty decent finish for myself there, finishing on 184 points. And then this was how the League One table was looking at the end of the first half of the season, so shout out to everyone on that list as well. Let's see who comes out on top in the second half of the season though, and without any further ado, let's jump into this one. So let's start out with Saturday's early kickoff. That sees Middlesbrough going up against Birmingham in the Ita Karanka derby. Now, the funny thing about this fixture is they played each other only a couple of weeks ago. It was Middlesbrough who walked away with a 4-1 away victory in that game. After Birmingham took the lead, Middlesbrough completely took over. Neil Etheridge in net for Birmingham had a bit of a shocker. 2 really soft goals he let in for that one. But back in the reverse fixture for this game, I mean, the one thing you give to Birmingham is they've been a little bit more consistent away from home so far this season. They're a little bit more organised and hard to beat. You know, at home actually they got the 2nd worst home record in the league this season. Only Derby have picked up less points at home than they have. But speaking of Middlesbrough's home record, really strong throughout the season so far. They've only lost 1 game at the Riverside, and in general they're on a decent run of form in the Championship at the moment. They're 1 point outside the top 6. The only real blip on their recent form was that loss against Sheffield Wednesday, but apart from that they've won 4 out of their last 5 matches. Obviously both sides lost last weekend in the FA Cup, but I don't think you can really read too much into those fixtures. So for a score prediction for this game, I think it's got to be Borough who you're fancying. You know, they've been so strong at home so far this season. I'm not sure if I can see this lacklustre Birmingham side changing that. Only 4 points away from the relegation zone at the moment, which is the real worry. But score prediction time, I'm going to go 2-0 Borough, with Thief saying it'll be 1-0 Birmingham. Next up we then go to Blackburn up against Stoke, where realistically I think that both sides are still expecting to push for the playoffs in the second half of the season. The reverse fixture a few weeks ago, Stoke did win. I think they won with their only shot on target for that game. They scored fairly early on. Second half, it was all Blackburn going forward, but a really strong defensive performance from Stoke. We've said that about them quite a few times so far this season. But for Stoke, quite a few draws in there. They've now drawn 4 out of their last 6 Championship matches. You'd probably give Stoke the edge in the sort of tighter matches so far this season, and obviously they'll be hoping that some of their new attacking reinforcements that they brought in throughout January so far will really spur them on for the second half of the season. They got the deal done now for Jack Clark, Matondo as well. I'm excited to see how he beds in. Blackburn have got issues on the other side of the pitch which they've looked to address. They've now completed the signing of Braithwaite, coming on loan from Everton for the rest of the season. In centre back, they were looking really quite light with the injuries accumulating in that position, but with his addition I think was a sensible one for the rest of the year. Score prediction time, I can't separate these two. I'm going to go for a draw, you know. I'm going to go 1-1. It's 2 clashing philosophies philosophies. We saw that last time they met. Stoke did win, as they like to in those sort of tight matches, but Blackburn, you'd think at home, might just be able to have that bit more spark about their play going forward. So I'll go for a 1-1 draw. FIFA's going 2-0 Blackburn. Next up we then go to Bournemouth up against Luton. Each side was in action in midweek, and neither of them put in generally convincing performances. Luton lost in quite a disappointing fashion against QPR, and Bournemouth dropped points against Millwall, drawing 1-1 in the end. A lot of what we've associated with Bournemouth so far this season, being on the front foot, scoring a lot of goals and being quite quick and progressive through midfield. Their passing game just seemed to be a little bit off in that game against Millwall. They only had 2 shots on target for it. Solanke did take his goal really well, to be fair to him, but that was one of quite few moments of quality going forward. One real positive that I have seen from Bournemouth though is that Danjuma is now back in full training. That's going to be a massive boost for them going forward, of course. He is that sort of dynamic player who can make absolutely all the difference. You know, when the rest of the team's not playing well, he's something who can create something himself out of nothing. So for a score prediction, each side coming off the back of not the most convincing performance last time out, I'm just swaying towards Bournemouth. I'm going to go 2-1 to the home side, with Thief saying we won the Luton. Next up we go to Ashton Gate as Bristol City go up against Preston. Only 1 point separates these two sides in the league at the moment, and since our last meeting at Deepdale, Bristol City have only played 2 matches in the Championship, so quite a quick turnaround to this fixture. Now, in terms of our last meeting, Preston walked away with all 3 points. We won by 1-0. Maybe a bit of a contentious penalty, but second half of that game, Bristol City I actually thought played quite well. They went to a 4-4-2 formation, which I'll be interested to see if they start with this time round, because they caused us some real problems that time. Declan Rudd, man of the match for that game, he was absolutely fantastic, but of course he's going to be missing for this one and probably the rest of the season actually. So I'd imagine that Iverson's going to come in for his debut after Connor Ripley shipped 4 goals against Wickham in the FA Cup. I can't see him retaining his place. And there's been quite a lot of business done around Preston lately. Of course, we did get the deal completed for Ben Whiteman the other day, so we could see quite a few debutants for Preston starting in this game. I'm very interested to see how we shuffle the team around. We did have a bit of a COVID outbreak at the club at the start of the week. We had to shut our training ground down. Alex Neil's been keeping his cards quite close to his chest about players who could potentially be missing from this game due to that, but it doesn't seem to be all too serious at the time of recording. For a score prediction, I really don't think there'll be all too much in this one, to be honest with you. I know that Bristol City have been incredibly inconsistent so far this season, but there's a lot of different spinning plates with Preston at the moment, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and FIFA's going to agree with me for that one. I can't see all too much being in there. Next up we then go to Cardiff up against Norwich. Big game in Cardiff season. They sit 15th in the table at the halfway mark, and you feel like week on week when the results continue to go down this similar path, the pressure is going to continue to mount on manager Neil Harris. Doesn't get much easier though up against league leaders Norwich, who will be without several players. Tim Krul's still going to be missing. Quintia Mumba and Adam Eder are also ruled out for this fixture. However, I mean, one thing that Norwich have proven, probably more so than any other Championship club so far this season, is the strength and depth that they've got is seriously strong. They built a really good core of players there. In the reverse fixture a couple of weeks ago, it was Norwich who had it fairly easy in this fixture, to be honest with you. 2-0 in the end. Cardiff tried their sort of game plan of sitting off them, but in the end Norwich's quality showed through. It was Buendia and Todd Cantwell with 2 really high quality finishes in that game. And for a score prediction for this one, I think you have to be placing your bets on the away side here. I'm going to go 2-1 Norwich, with Thief saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Next up we go to an absolutely massive game at the bottom of the Championship. We got Derby going up against Rotherham. Now, speaking of Rotherham, first of all, they're in a bit of a weird situation. They're second bottom, but they do have 3 games in hand on some of the teams above them. They've only played 20 matches so far this season, so they've had more games called off than anyone else, which you could argue maybe puts them in a bit of a false position, but looking into their current form, they've only won 1 of their last 5 now. Conceding goals early has been a real problem for them. In their last 5 Championship matches, they've conceded 6 goals in the opening 15 minutes, so that's obviously going to be an area where Derby are going to look to target. But speaking of Derby, I mean, Derby fans, you guys have had an absolute rollercoaster ride over the last few days, with news of the takeover falling through, and now the news that Wayne Rooney has been given the job, which suggests that something may be still in the works. He's been handed a 2.5-year contract, so surely that's not dead and buried. If Rooney's been offered that sort of contract, he's surely got to have some sort of assurances. They've had the players who are being paid late and all that stuff as well. Loads of drama with the club at the moment. But speaking about the on-field stuff, Derby have been putting in a handful of decent performances lately. Their last game was all the way back on the 1st of January, which seems absolutely ages ago now, their last game in the Championship, that is. They lost against Sheffield Wednesday, but to be honest with you, they got pretty unlucky. They created several high-quality chances in that game, they just didn't quite have the end product to go along with it. For a score prediction, I think I am swaying towards Derby, you know. We'll see if Rooney, now he has been given the full job, can really make an impact for this second half of the season. Score prediction time. Going to go 2-0 Derby, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 1-0 Rotherham. Massive game, that one. Next up we then go to Forest up against Millwall at the City Ground. I'm not expecting this one to probably be the most entertaining game of the weekend, but credit to Millwall, they put in possibly their best performance of the season so far in midweek. Really good stuff against Bournemouth, where they could have even gone on to win that one. 1-1 it finished in the end. They're going up against this Forest side who aren't necessarily playing brilliant, enthralling football at the moment, but they're getting results, and for the first time this season they've started to string together a bit of a consistent run, you know. That when they got at Deepdale last time out, by no means was the best performance, but they're doing enough to get points on the board, which in their current situation is all you can ask of them at the moment. In the reverse fixture a couple of weeks ago, this game did finish as a 1-1 draw. Millwall perhaps got a little bit unlucky not to win that one. Forest scored with their only shot on target, Alex Myton with the goal in that game. And actually shots on target have been a bit of a hard thing to come by for Forest lately. In 3 of their last 4 matches they've registered 2 or less shots on target, so I don't anticipate there'll be all too much goal-mouth action, and to be honest I wouldn't be too surprised to see them cancel each other out again. I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw, and FIFA's going to agree with me for that one. Next up we then go to Watford up against Huddersfield. Now, say what you want about Watford so far this season, but their home record has been incredibly strong. 11 matches, 8 wins, and only the 1 loss for them so far this season. So that's obviously going to play a major factor in if they do get back up and going for the second half of the season, really push for the top 2 like we all expected them to at the start of the season. But Huddersfield won't be an easy match. The reverse fixture a couple of weeks ago, it was Huddersfield who came out on top, really did the number on Watford in the first half and defended really well for the second, won that by 2-0. There has also been some transfer activity with Huddersfield today. We've seen goalkeeper Ben Hamer going to Swansea, so you'd imagine now that Schofield is going to be the number 1 for the rest of the season. He has played their last few matches in the Championship. But for a score prediction for this one, you feel like Watford really need to kick on now, and I'm going to back them to just about get through this game, although as we saw from the reverse fixture, you can't take Huddersfield lightly. They'll come out fast for the first half, that's for sure, but I think that over 90 minutes, Watford may just about get through. I'm going to go 2-1 Watford, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Watford. And then there's our last match to predict. We got the late kick-off on Saturday. That sees Barnsley going up against Swansea. Now, Barnsley on a fantastic run of form at the moment. They've only lost 3 of their last 9 matches, and coincidentally, each of those 3 losses have come against the current top 3 in the Championship, Swansea being one of them. But Barnsley will probably still have sort of outside hopes of maybe sneaking into the playoffs come the end of the season if they maintain this form for the second half of the year. Really good, energetic stuff to watch, and as we learned on yesterday's video, the comeback kings of the Championship. No side has won more points from losing positions than Barnsley have so far this season. But Swansea themselves really consistent lately. They currently find themselves second in the Championship, and they are there for a reason. Like we mentioned last time, their last meeting, they did see off Barnsley by 2-0. Jamal Lowe with another goal in that game. And it's the form of clubs like Swansea which actually make this Championship season really interesting, because there was a bit of a worry, especially from myself at the start of the season, that the relegated 3 clubs may just be like too good for the Championship and that there'd be a bit of a disconnect with the top 3 in the rest of the league. But thanks to clubs like Swansea, Reading and Brentford, they're making it really interesting in and around the top of the Championship at the moment. So for a score prediction, I think I am just edging towards Swansea. What we've seen from Barnsley's track record is they've been fantastically consistent lately, but against those top 3 sides, maybe the quality shows in the end. So I'm just going to edge Swansea for a 2-1 away victory. FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Swansea. Should be a good game. Well guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for my Championship score predictions for game week 24. So do get your score predictions in the comments down below. Get yourself entered into the new prediction league. It should be a whole lot of fun as we do wrap up this Championship season heading into the second half of it. If you went on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. It is always massively appreciated, and please do stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.